to the Giraffe Social Media Podcast. It's what social media managers are talking about. I'm Laura, and today I'm joined by Tyler and new guest, Ellie.
Hi.
Hello. So coming up on this week's episode, we will be doing a quick-fire social media quiz and discussing 5 ways to breathe new life into your social media content, along with our thoughts on an interesting new birthday reminder feature on Snapchat. Stick around to the end of the show where we'll be answering some of your burning DMs. So, before we get into the nitty-gritty of today's episode, I have come up with a social media quickfire quiz. So I thought I would question you guys on your social media knowledge and see what you come up with. Question number 1. Which platform does not provide users with selfie filters?
Oh, this is a difficult one, Laura. I'm gonna go Facebook.
Ellie?
I mean, if LinkedIn counts, I don't think that they offer that. I'd hope not.
But my answer is actually Twitter.
Oh.
So, but that being said, obviously this might have been before the story feature has been taken down from Twitter and LinkedIn. But yeah, Twitter does not provide users with selfie filters.
Come on, Twitter. What are you doing?
Question number 2. True or false? When Snapchat was created, the app was called Peekaboo. Do you think that's true or false?
I think
That's got to be
full name.
I was just about to say, sorry, Ellie. That has got to be false because I don't think anyone would have downloaded Snapchat if it was called Peekaboo.
It sounds like a child's app.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Well, this one's actually true. So, originally launched in July 2011, Snapchat started its life as an app called Peekaboo, but then just a few short months later, it was dubbed as Snapchat, and the rest is obviously selfie-filled history. So,
I am shocked.
Interesting one for you guys. Question number 3 is which social network does not allow you to post photos via a desktop computer? This, I think, is the bane of our lives, so...
Instagram.
It's Instagram.
It is Instagram, and I love that little, tune that you put with it, Eddie.
It's so frustrating. I really wish they sorted that out.
I know. They've stuck to mobile using only, so I guess we'll have to go with that for the time being. Question number 4. What is the proper pronunciation of GIF according to the file type creator Steve Quillite? So is it GIF or GIF?
I say GIF, but I'm not sure.
I also say GIF, so we'll go with GIF.
I also say GIF, and I don't plan on changing it, but the proper pronunciation is actually GIF. I know, I was mind blown when I found this out. But and that being said, I have heard people say GIF, and I've always been like, it's GIF, isn't it? But no, it is actually GIF. So super interesting. Question number 5. Facebook was originally targeted at which demographic of users? So A, college students, B, parents, or C, the retail industry?
I'm going to go with the retail industry. Why not?
I'm going to go with B, parents, because a parent loves Facebook.
Guys, so close, but it was actually originally targeted at college students.
Oh.
I know. The things that you find out. Amazing. But yeah.
I mean, that's not surprising though, I guess, because social media is generally towards the younger generation in any case. So
yeah.
True.
Interesting.
No, well, thank you guys for answering those questions and learning some more about social media. But now we shall move on to the main segment of this week's episode. We're going to be detailing 5 ways to breathe new life into your social media content. I don't know about you, but sometimes when I'm creating posts, I can feel a bit uninspired, or I can feel like the posts are becoming repetitive and uninteresting. It can be a struggle to come up with new social media content ideas. And if that is you, then you're not alone, but you may need a bit of a social media refresh to help you get back on track to achieving your business or your client's goals. So Tyler, do you sometimes find it difficult to come up with new social media content ideas?
Oh, 100%. I think because we work on social media every single day, I definitely, sometimes hit a wall in terms of inspiration and trying to think of new things and constantly trying to kind of keep my clients' social media as fresh and as new as possible. But I feel like there's so many ways that you can kind of, like you said, breathe life into your social media and come up with new ideas and find new ways in order to create, content for your platforms. I think one of the ways that I love to do it, I say love, but it's kind of one of the essential ways, I think, when it comes to looking at, ways that you can breathe life into your social media and keep it on top of, the trends and current things that are working within the market, is to just do as much research as possible, whether that's, market research or competitor research, which I think is something that, initially when you kind of set up your social media, and I know when we kind of have a new client come and work with us, we'll do like a whole like strategy behind it and we'll do like a competitor analysis. But I think it's so important to keep that a constant within your strategy and within what you're doing, because your competitors are working within exactly the same industry as you. They're similar brands, they're coming up with new ideas themselves, they're also kind of, focusing on similar things that you're talking about. So I think keeping that as a constant and making sure that you are analysing and researching your competitors and, looking at what they're doing really, really well and, maybe seeing if there's a gap in the market from your perspective where you can kind of come up with a new idea and do something fresh and exciting that will breathe that life into your social media is so important. And also just researching, the market that you're working in, you're a brand within that specific market, whether you're in the fashion industry or like, skincare or even property, ensuring that you're involved in that industry and keeping up with trends and following what's going on in the market is so important. And it's definitely a way that I like to try and keep up to date with what's happening, within my clients' respective industries, as well as just making sure that, I'm coming up with new ideas from doing that research. And I think gaining that insight and knowing all of that information is a really, really great way to try and stay on top of, the trends and keep involved in what you're doing, which is also a great way to obviously keep that, fresh and new content within what you're doing.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you, Tyler. I think for me, doing competitor and market research also allows me to sort of understand exactly what the audience wants from the brand. So when I research and I find articles, I don't know, similar to what we're discussing today, like 5 ways to do this, then I sort of get an understanding of that industry audience and what they want from the content itself, and then I can then create the sort of bite-sized, easily digestible pieces of content for the strategy. And anything like top tips can obviously be divided up into separate posts. So you could do, like, for example, a Tuesday tip or a Wednesday wisdom, so you've always got that regular piece of content going out, but also knowing that it's really valuable to your followers or your customers or your target audience as well. So no, I think that's definitely a great way to, like you say, stay on top of your audience wants and needs and breathe new life into that social media strategy.
100%, yeah. And I think a lot of people kind of, like I said, you forget to keep within kind of the market and knowing what's going on with your competitors and like other brands within the industry. So just keeping that, like, what is it, finger on the pulse, is that the saying? But just ensuring ensuring that you kind of know what's going on, and conducting that research can be so beneficial and so helpful when it does come to obviously wanting to breathe some life into your content and do things, you know, that you maybe haven't done before. I think another way as well that I kind of love to work with my content is to make sure that I diversify it as much as possible. And I think this is actually something that we spoke about on an episode a few weeks ago, where you like need to keep that like balance of different styles of content, different types of content. It's like the 60-30-10 rule. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. If you haven't, go listen to our one of our previous podcast episodes. But yeah, basically just diversifying your content and doing, you know, what you're doing, but keeping it different and new and fresh and fun. Because like you said, it can be like become so easy for you to just get stuck in this like loop of, okay, well, I'm used to kind of producing this content and it works at the moment, so I guess I'll keep doing it. But I think from a consumer perspective especially, I like to see different content on brands' platforms, you know, whether that's educational, whether it's promotional, whether it's, you know, something that's inspirational even, and just ensuring that they are sharing that like vast range of content across each of their platforms, and making sure that you know your audience and you know what your audience wants to see as well, is a great way to kind of, like I said, diversify your content and do something a bit differently. And yeah, trying something new. Like, don't be afraid to try something new. If it fails, it's a learning curve. If it succeeds, amazing. Like, you found a new kind of style and type of content that you can include in your strategy going forward. So yeah, I think it's definitely diversifying it. And whether that's, you know, looking at video content, because obviously that is huge at the moment, and we all know the success of video content across all platforms right now. Or, you know, whether it's, you know, looking at carousels or static imagery, or trying to jump on a current trend, or looking at, I don't know, producing something that you as a brand know is unique to kind of what you're doing, and focusing on, as much as you're promoting a product or service, like connecting with your audience as well. That's something that's so important. So yeah, just ensuring that there's as much diversity within kind of what you're presenting to your audience, what you're creating, and also just having fun with it, because it's what we're here to do, is have fun. So yeah.
No, you touched on some really good points, and I think, you know, that's one thing that I think about within a social media strategy is the different types of content. So like you said, the content to inspire. So for example, outfit ideas, fashion style trends, lists of things, or content that's going to educate. So anything like ethical and sustainable fashion, or fashion news and updates, just using those as an example, and then incorporating the promotional and more salesy posts, but just making sure that it is completely varied. And to do that, I sometimes like to sort of put myself in a consumer's shoes. So think about, if I fit into that demographic, what would I like to know about? What would I like to understand? What would I like to be inspired by? And anything such as like memes or jokes or gifs and things like that's such like highly shareable pieces of content as well, as is going to really connect and engage with your brand. So no, I think you touched on some really important points there, Tyler. Thank you. Ellie, do you ever struggle to come up with new content ideas for your clients' social media strategies?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it can be very difficult to come up with exciting and original content that hasn't already been done before, because obviously social media is such a wide what's the word? Not thing. I don't want to call it a thing.
Like, there's such a broad spectrum.
Exactly. So I feel like finding something that hasn't been done before is incredibly difficult. So something that I really like to do is to repurpose content that we've already produced. So whether that's repurposing it across different contents, like social media content pages, and also transforming like written content into video content, for example, or vice versa. I feel like that's really a key point to do, and it's quite simple to do as well. So it saves you a lot of time as well as money, dependent on your company.
Yeah.
And then also I do like to optimize existing resources. So key things like social media listening tools and analytics tools are really good to keep up with, just to see kind of what your audience are engaging in, what content's performing well, what content isn't performing very well, and then kind of working on that. And also for the content that isn't performing well, you can breathe a new lease of life into that by altering it, transforming the copy, I don't know, changing the imagery, for example. It's just simple steps like that to really repurpose your content and give it a new breath of life, really.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I can't remember the exact statistic, but I know particularly on LinkedIn, there's only a very small percentage of your followers that will actually see your content the first time round. So LinkedIn as a platform itself actually really recommends repurposing content that's been previously posted to make sure that more of your followers are able to see it. And I suspect that's the same for other platforms as well, like Facebook. Maybe not so much with Instagram, but as long as the image itself or the video or the meme or whatever is differed slightly so that it doesn't sort of merge into the feed itself as looking a bit repetitive. I think that's a really good tip to do. I know that's something I do. You know, you can look back at previously well performing posts and take something from that and know that that type of content reflects well with your audience. So do a bit more of that, or repurpose that, reword it, change it up, or like you said, Ellie, change copy into a video format. I know that works really well, in particular for Twitter. Obviously Twitter has quite a small word count, so anything that's been put out on other platforms perhaps can be repurposed for platforms like Twitter, changing that copy into a GIF or an image or a video. Yeah, just making use. I think it's about working smarter, not harder. I love that phrase. I think that's what it's all about. Like, don't be afraid to repurpose, reuse, recreate. Just, yeah, don't be afraid of doing that. Not everything has to sort of go viral and change the world, you know?
I think it's also important to not feel bad for asking your team for input, because if you're working on a client, you say you worked for them for 6 months, for example, and you're tired, you have no ideas, no fresh ideas to bring to the table, asking someone else to kind of give a new fresh set of eyes on the client would be really beneficial.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something we're really good at doing at Giraffe, is making sure that we're coordinating with each other on our clients' content. So like you said, Ellie, like doing brainstorming sessions, or just, throwing things out to the team. What do you think about this? Or do you have any ideas for this? Because sometimes having a fresh pair of eyes, it does make all the difference. If you're working on a certain industry all the time, you can start to run out of ideas that it's easy to do, but someone else on the team might have other ideas that they can share with you from seeing it from a new perspective or a new angle. So no, really great ideas. Moving on from that, I think the other best thing to do is to invest in social media advertising. If your brand is only utilizing organic social media content, then definitely consider investing in paid social. Paid ads are obviously a key tool in social media marketing, as they help to elevate your brand with highly targeted campaigns. So whether you're looking for anything from brand awareness to purchases, to traffic to your website, advertising can obviously help you achieve your goals with the right optimizations and creatives. As with organic posting, it's important to make sure you're only advertising on platforms where your audience is active and engaged. So if, for example, you're in the finance industry, then you might find less active users. And if, for example, your company is within the finance industry, then you might find less active users on Instagram, for example. So you might want to focus your attention more on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter. So it's just really important to think about where your target demographics are. Make sure that you're advertising on the best platforms for that. And in order to find out where your audience are, I just suggest doing the competitor and market research and, testing and trialing as well. Find out where they are from doing all of those. You'll see a greater return on investment by running ads on the most relevant platforms that you and your audience already use. I think that goes without saying. Like, if your audience isn't on a platform, then you're probably not going to see a high return on investment. Whereas if you're, for example, a fashion brand, then you'll probably find that your most active audience is on Instagram, for example, maybe Pinterest. So I definitely recommend investing in social media advertising. As you may already know, social media advertising isn't going to turn your business into a success overnight. It's going to take a bit of trial, a bit of error, a bit of A/B testing, finding out what works, what doesn't work, and sort of making optimizations based on that. However, influencer marketing is also a really great way to advertise on social media. An influencer can obviously get your brand in front of new eyes, create new content for your brand that you can then repurpose and reuse, like we were discussing earlier. It can also be a great way to freshen up your feed and get a new perspective on your brand and products. I mean, I love working with influencers and seeing the type of content that they come up for the clients and brands that I work with. Because that is what they do. They are essentially content creators themselves. So it's always great to get a fresh spin on some content and breathe some new life. Thank you guys for your tips. I hope that helps our listeners breathe some new life into their social media strategies. And if you have any other top tips, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. It's now time to dive in to the top social media news story of the week. Snapchat adds a new birthday reminder element to help facilitate engagement. So essentially, Snapchat has added a new way to remember friends' birthdays and share celebration within the app with a new birthdays mini reminder tool. Snapchat's latest mini, which is essentially micro versions of the full apps built within Snapchat itself, basically provide an overview of friends' birthdays and access to special celebratory features like AR lenses to help mark the occasion. Yeah, I don't know what you guys think about this. I mean, I like it, but I'm not a huge Snapchat user anymore. I know I read also recently that like Snap users are big on zodiac signs and astrology according to the platform. So last November, Snapchat also added astrological profiles, which provide users with insights into their star sign and what it means for them and their relationships, etc. And I have to say, I made good use of that, because I think for the last few years, I've probably only used Snapchat for like the zodiac signs and the news articles that used to come up all the time. You flick through it and it would give you your like star sign and what was coming for you that week or that month. And yeah, I feel like that's the most I've used it. I'm not a huge, I don't like showing my face to people at the best of times. I definitely don't want to be taking a picture of my face whilst I'm watching Grey's Anatomy with a double chin. So that's definitely
Why not, Laura? Why not? It's what your Snapchat followers want to see. Come on. No.
But I do think it's a good idea for the younger generations. I think, as we know, like video content just seems to do really well, and I love the idea of taking part in somebody's birthday like virtually, especially in the age that we live in, where so much is done virtually. But yeah, guys, what do you think?
I mean, I have to admit that I do still use Snapchat very frequently. But I am a millennial. I think I am actually 2000. But I wouldn't use it for the birthday feature. This is what throws me off this whole thing, because I feel like they're trying to mimic Facebook, but I wouldn't use, obviously your parents aren't going to really use Snapchat, and that's the main reason of remembering someone's birthday. Do, do you know, you get what I mean in terms of
Yeah.
use Facebook for kind of family members, or at least I do in terms of writing on their Facebook page, but I wouldn't use an AR filter on Snapchat to wish someone happy birthday out on a public platform. It just baffles me, the whole concept of it. I just don't think many people use it, at least not for a older demographic.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you, Ellie. I would never remember anyone's birthday if it wasn't for Facebook.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, anyone that I'm friends with, thank Facebook for me wishing you happy birthday, because I honestly would forget otherwise. But I don't use Snapchat. I'm like you, Laura. Like, it's never been a big thing for me. Like, I never really used it growing up either. I feel like it's definitely towards the younger generation and Ellie. But yeah, I think it's a bit of like you said, I don't understand why they're doing it. I feel like it could be fun. And maybe if they're targeting it towards like younger people, then that's great. But if they're wanting like the older kind of generation who still use Snapchat to do it, I don't think it's gonna take off. It's like with Instagram as well. Like, I will wish my friends happy birthday on like my story on Instagram, but I'll share like a picture of us or like a memory. And it's the same with Facebook. Like, if I'm wanting to wish someone happy birthday, like I'm going to be wishing them either like in a little status message, or I'm going to be sharing some form of memory. So I think the whole AR thing as well just confuses me slightly, but AR as a concept confuses me. So maybe I'm just missing the excitement of this new amazing feature from Snapchat. But yeah, I definitely think that I don't know. I mean, the whole Zodiac thing, I agree with you, Laura. Like, that's something that I would invest in. And I didn't actually know that was a thing on Snapchat, because I don't use it. But maybe I'll download it now just to get that.
Just to get that, yeah.
Yeah.
I love a star sign. I mean, that's not wrong.
So relatable.
I will be super interested to see how that pans out, as, you know, the two of us, Ty, don't use Snapchat. Ellie, maybe you can let us know how you find it.
I mean, like I said, I'm not going to be using the feature. I use Snapchat to message my friends who I've just got on there. But, I mean, it's not like I use other platforms much more widely.
Yeah. No, definitely.
So you don't do selfies of you watching Grey's Anatomy then, Ellie? No?
What baffles me with this new feature, why would anyone want me to post on my story a photo of myself with like an AR happy birthday animation? Like you said, Tyler, you're more likely to post a photo of like a memory with you and that other person than put a photo out on Snapchat of yourself. It's really, what's the point of sending that for someone's birthday? I don't know. That's just
I think it must be a generational thing, because I'm sure I have some family friends that are younger that will make use of this feature. I don't think they would think twice about putting a video or picture of themselves to wish someone else happy birthday, but I don't know. We shall see. This week's top DM is all about social media advertising, and it reads: I own a small business and would like to start advertising on social media. Which platforms would be best for me to begin with? I feel like this is probably a really good question for you, Tyler, so why don't you take it away?
Yeah, of course. So firstly, congratulations on your small business venture. That is very exciting. If I had to kind of give some advice in terms of the best platform to use, I think it's a bit of a journey that you'll have to go on. Firstly, I would suggest starting with kind of Instagram, Facebook, just because that's the go-to platform. It's also one of the easiest platforms that you can kind of use in terms of advertising. It's very, very simple to learn, very simple to use. And I think across kind of all the advertising platforms, I would say it's probably got the most users on it, just because it's probably the most established that is currently around. it also allows you to kind of get to grips with advertising on certain platforms and kind of understanding the metrics behind it, how to kind of optimize your campaigns, what's the best budget to use, how to build your audiences. And there's loads of help and assistance on the Facebook and Instagram advertising platform, whether that's, the actual help center with questions and answers of what you want to know, or even just getting in touch with kind of a platform representative. There's so many out there that are great with kind of what they do. They've got so much knowledge, and they'll be able to help you in building your campaigns and also ensuring that you are optimizing them to the best of your ability. So I would say definitely start with Facebook and Instagram. Obviously, they're kind of like a joint ads platform. They run ads on one singular platform, so that's also a great way, because you're killing two birds with one stone per se by reaching both networks but only having to do it through one integrated platform. They're also one of the cheapest platforms to run ads. They've got, I think their daily budget is about £5 per kind of advertising campaign that you're running. And they're known widely as one of the cheapest platforms as well, which is great for the budget, great for spending as well. So definitely a good one to go for. And then what I would do as well is kind of start off with Facebook and Instagram. Obviously, as a small business owner, you're still kind of learning your audience. You're still kind of learning what works for you as a brand, and where you want to kind of focus your audience and your attention as well. So I would say start there, see how that fares out. Run it for a couple of months to allow the platform to learn about your audience, to kind of learn your ads as well and develop them to the best of its ability. And then look over at other platforms, whether it's Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest. You can run advertising on pretty much all social platforms nowadays. You can even run TikTok ads, which is very exciting. But yeah, looking at kind of what platform would suit your industry best, and doing that market research, that competitor research that we mentioned as well, and just ensuring that you're kind of diversifying yourself across the relevant platforms to your industry. So yeah, that would be my advice.
Yeah, no, I think you covered all bases there. Thank you, Tyler. Hopefully we answered your burning question adequately. But if you'd like to be featured in next week's episode, then make sure you slide into our DMs on Instagram. It's at GiraffeSM. Well, that is all we've got time for today. If you've enjoyed this episode, then subscribe if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, or follow us if you're listening on Spotify. We'd love to hear what you thought about today's episode, so make sure you reach out on social media and let us know what you thought. We have been Giraffe Social Media. You've been amazing. We will see you next time.